It's not uncommon in our agency over the last 14 years where we've helped 7 and 8 figure companies generate an additional $300 million in revenue that I will hear a statement like this, and that is, we're generating a lot of leads, but those leads aren't converting. They're not buying. Can you help us? I was talking to, again, another 7, 8 figure CEO the other day, and we were having this conversation, and during the conversation, we started talking about the different strategies they've been using to generate leads. Well, I know for a fact that it's easy to generate leads that buy consistently if you do the 4 things I'm going to share in this specific episode. So listen, if this is your first time here, this is the Mind Shift Podcast. We help you shift your mind so you can shift your results in life and in business. And today we're talking about lead generation and how to get more leads to buy consistently, right? You're spending a lot of money on Google Ads, you're spending money on social media, you're spending money on content, you bought all the websites, you have HubSpot, you're spending a lot of money, but for some reason, the sales aren't happening. Well, I've got 4 big ideas that I want to share with you here. And the first one is one that I think is misunderstood even by some of the most successful 7 and 8 figure companies that we work with. In the beginning, they understand what I'm about to share, but what I want to do right now is make sure you completely understand that getting leads to buy consistently is a formula and has a lot to do with timing more than it has to do with your product or service or how great your sales team is or how great your system is or how many leads you put into the system. The first thing I want to talk to you about are what's known as the 5 stages of buyer awareness. You see, by the way, I didn't make this up. You can Google this, you can look at it on ChatGPT, but buyers, humans, we all go through 5 stages of awareness. Stage 1 is we are unaware that we could even need a product or service like yours. Stage 2 is we become problem aware. We have some situation in our life that happens and we now have a problem. If I'm driving down the street and I run out of gas, I now have a problem. If I'm, locked out of my house when I get home because I lost my door key, I now have a problem. So in the moment I become problem aware, I now begin to decide to go to stage 3. And that is solution aware. Now, solution aware is a journey. Solution aware is a journey. Problem aware is a moment. Solution aware is a journey. The journey then is where the human being decides to figure out how to solve the problem, right? What do they do when they go on the journey to solve the problem? Now, for a lot of you B2B, B2C, there's a number of different ways the journey can happen, but a lot of people know for sure that when they're looking for a solution, especially something that's not an emergency, like running out of gas or getting locked out of your house, if it's a non-emergency situation, which most of you are, most people know that a problem-aware person who wants to solve their problem are going to go to Google, right? They're going to go to Google. Sometimes they'll go to social media and post whether or not someone in their network has a friend or a referral. They might go on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of that in my research in my days, but most people know that they're going to go to Google. Well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go from unaware to problem-aware to solution-aware to then your product or solution aware, meaning they are going to look for all of the different options out there to solve their problem. And it's your job to do what we're going to talk about in step 2 and make sure they find your product at stage 4. So then comes the stage where it becomes what's called decision aware or purchase readiness, as I like to call it. And the interesting part about what we do in marketing, where we think that leads aren't convertible or the leads aren't good, is we somehow think that when the buyer is in solution awareness, they're problem aware, they go into a solution aware mode, is that they have to buy a solution to that problem today. And the interesting thing about it is you as a CEO or a founder, you don't actually know. You know that to not be true. You realize that when you're thinking about solving a problem, that it's not an emergency today. You could know that you want to solve this problem, but maybe it's not a solution that you need to do today. So what happens in marketing when we think that we've got leads that won't buy, many times it's just because we haven't exercised the right amount of time and patience and education and nurturing of that lead through the normal stage they're going to go through to get to the purchase awareness stage. You know, many years ago, I think it was IBM who came up with this idea called the BANT formula. It was a pre-qualification formula for leads when they sent their sales team out, and BANT stands for budget, authority, need, and timing. Meaning, are you talking to the person who has the budget? Are you talking to the authority who can make the decision? Are you talking to someone who has the need? Do they really have a need for the product or service? And the last part is the T, which I just adopted when I first heard this in the 90s, in my early sales days, and I've adopted it to everything we do in our agency online, and that is, we don't control the person's timing. It doesn't matter how good your thing is. It doesn't matter how right it is. Look, at the end of the day, I'm still wearing glasses. I'll be 5'5", double nickels this year, and I was presented the opportunity to get LASIK when I was about 38 years old. I'd never heard of it back then, and guess what? I know friends who've gotten it. In fact, it just never made sense to me. So while I was an ideal buyer, while I had the money, I didn't decide to do it. My timing wasn't there. Now, back to this idea of leads that convert consistently. What do we need to do when we meet them on their buyer's journey in one of those 5 stages? Well, the most important stage to meet them at is when they're in the solution aware stage, okay? Not at the problem awareness mode. And I know that might contradict some of the training you've been through. If you've been through training from online marketers and people that say, oh, talk to them at the top of the funnel. You know, we in our agency have learned that the top of the funnel is important after you've built a robust middle of the funnel conversion product or service. That means to say this: when there's a difference between someone who has a problem and acknowledges it and someone who's decided to solve it, right? When they go on the process to solve it, they're going to do certain things, type in certain words in Google, behave in a certain kind of way that is different than when someone simply has an acknowledgement of the problem. And that is a small but important distinction. So when we come in and work with companies, we say we are going to create the product, solution, offer, or content that meets them where they are. Step 2 in this process. Step 1 was understanding the 5 stages of awareness. Step 2 is meeting them where they are. And you know what it takes to do that? It takes really clearly understanding what's going on in the conversation in their mind. We have an exercise in one of my programs inside of the Inner Circle, and we teach at the agency, called the 11 o'clock at night exercise. I get it, that's a fancy term, and I know it could be better, but literally what we do is walk our customers through and walk our Inner Circle members through an exercise that puts them in the seat of their ideal customer who goes through this scenario. And we say it like this: imagine your customers at 11 o'clock at night and they can't sleep. And this isn't the first night that they were up at 11 o'clock and they'd like to be asleep, but they can't sleep. They get out of the bed, they pick up their phone, they go to their office or their laptop or the downstairs to the kitchen bar, get themselves something to drink, they pop open the laptop and it's 11 o'clock at night, I'll remind you, and they can't sleep and they'd love to be asleep. What's keeping them awake? And we pause in the workshop, and we pause and let them write, and we let them write, and we let them write. Your job to meet them where they are is to understand what's going on in their mind. And it isn't just one thing about your product or service that your product or service can solve. It could be 10, 15, or 20 different things. And so this exercise, the job of this exercise is to help us figure out everything that could be on their mind, keeping them up. And a lot of times we've gotten so narrow in the 1 or 2 or 3 things that our product or service can help them solve that we forget the vast thought process of our clients. And some people say, is this all necessary? The answer is yes. The reason our work works so well, the reason our models and our frameworks work so well, it's because we understand human psychology. And once you really tap in, you're able to meet them where they are with whatever you put in front of them in the solution awareness journey. Step 3, once you're in their journey and you've understood where they are and you've proven that you understand their problem and you're meeting them where they are, the next most important thing you can do to get leads to convert consistently is prove that you are the right person to help them. Prove that you're the right company to help them. Prove that you have the right product or service to help them. And let's be clear, some of you take this too lightly. You think that because they found you on Google, or they saw your ad on social media, or they opened your email, that you're the only person they're considering, that you're the only company they're considering. Here's a fun fact that most people don't know that we have to remind some of the most successful companies we work with about, and that is the minute you're doing well on Google, the minute you're doing well with your ads, the minute you're doing well with social media, the algorithms will bring more of your competitors to the journey based on how the algorithms work. Now, we'll save that conversation for another video, but let's take it this way. If you are moving up the first page of Google and they found you in position 3, that means they also just saw your competitors in ads. They saw the number 1 and the number 2 listing, but somehow we think, oh, we got the traffic, so they're interested in us. Yeah, they might be interested in you, but they saw other competitors along the way as well. So we can't take for granted that they just trust us because they landed on our page and maybe they opted in or maybe they requested a meeting. No, we have to now work through the proof equation, okay? Number 1, you understand the 5 stages of awareness. Number 2, you meet them where they are. Number 3, you prove you can help. And number 5, in order to get leads to convert consistently, it's gonna sound silly, but you have to ask them to solve their problem. Hear me when I say that, my friend. You have to ask them to solve the problem. And if we add one other word to it, ask them to solve it now, right? So many people think that the buyer is just going to move themselves through. Now, look, if you're in the water heater repair business and someone's water heater is out, you probably don't have to really ask them to buy it now. They want to buy it now because they don't want to take a cold shower any more than the one they just took after they figured out the water was cold. But when you're in a high ticket B2B, B2C business, what I would call a discretionary product or service journey, it is your job, it is your duty that once you've met them where they are and you found the person who's solution oriented, your job is to ask them to do it with you. Clearly, succinctly, and when it's appropriate to solve their problem. Remember, you're not selling them to do something you want them to do. You're selling them on the idea that you don't want to stay in this pain any longer than you have been. Because remember, if we showed up the right way, they had a problem, not you. They had a problem. They went on the journey to solve the problem. They found your product or solution. And your job is, once you get them to the point of purchase and decision awareness, is to ask them, are you ready to solve your problem today? And then if we go back to that BANT formula, budget, authority, need, and timing, your job then is, if their answer today is no, your job is to be there when they're ready. And that might not be for 6 months, 12 months. One of our best clients in our agency took 7 years to buy from us. But guess what? We were there when he decided. Now, we got a lot more to cover. I mean, there's so many things we can do here, but there's 2 things I'd like you to consider today. Number 1, there are 2 ways to get help. If you're a 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur and you want an agency to partner with you, if you want our strategic thinking, all of our playbooks, all of our frameworks, if you want us to come in and be the fractional marketing department, or you're needing some sort of support in that area, then there's a link below where you can reach out to our agency and have a conversation with our team and let us talk about where these gaps are in your model. Number 2, if that's not where you're at today, but you want to get more of the insight, more of the playbooks, more of the strategies that we use every day in our agency, where we're helping companies who are doing their own marketing. Maybe you're a CMO, maybe you're a fractional, maybe you're a team member, a junior marketer, or maybe you're just a solo practitioner and you just need support on how to do it the right way. Then we run live workshops and training, and we go over our playbooks inside of our Inner Circle community. You'll find that link below as well. If neither of those 2 options make sense for you today, great. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you got some value out of today's video. Hit the like, hit the follow button, subscribe, send it to a friend, and I'll see you next on another video. But until then, I hope you shift your mind so you can shift your results. I'll talk to you again later. Peace.